Oh, bandit. Bandit. Oh, bandit. Hey, man, this your boy Zay. We back with another reaction video, you feel me? Today we'll be reacting to O Block, The Dark Side of Fame, History of Chicago's Infamous Neighborhoods, man. This is before they were famous. I don't really know what to expect from this video. I guess to learn more about O Block. I mean, I find this stuff kind of intriguing, you feel me? Interesting. So, yeah, let's get into the reaction, you feel me? Let's go.
This section of Chicago goes by one name, O Block. On one side of this death trap is a sprawling behemoth known as Parkway Gardens, a low-income apartment complex. On the other side, a string of businesses. This stretch of city located on South Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive has quite the history behind.
Why is there a Martin Luther King in every city, state, nation? Oh my God. In the world, it's a Martin Luther King everywhere, bruh. That is crazy to me.
In fact, it was once even home of Michelle Obama. But for the most part, this neighborhood's past is steeped in
Michelle Obama from the
If you don't believe me, just listen to some of the blood-drenched lyrics of rappers that have emerged from this dangerous environment. Young men like Chief Keef, King Von, and A. Roy, two of whom are no longer with us. There's no denying that there's a malicious evil that's been a part of O Block almost from the very beginning. So today, we're gonna investigate this neighborhood and unearth not only its violent history,
but how make this thing disappear, bro? I ain't tripping. About to get on my nerves.
But the gang war that's engulfed in it and the soldiers lost along the way. But before we begin, please take a second to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications, which helps ensure we can continue churning out content like this for you on a regular basis. Alright, with that being said, let's jump into O Block's brush with the dark side of fame. Back in the early 1900s, the area of Chicago would one day come to be known as O Block was actually a huge amusement park named, ironically enough, White City. The park opened in 1905 and was relatively successful, but a fire would shut it down for good in the 1930s, after causing thousands of dollars in damage. This happening in the midst of the Great Depression, no one was looking to rebuild the thing. Eventually, 2 decades later, a 35-unit complex known as Parkway Gardens
and it all went down from there.
Was constructed in the early 1950s. At the time, this was actually a pretty decent place to live. As one longtime resident would tell the Chicago Sun, it was nicer back then. Flowers planted in the beds, the grass kept up, less violence in and around the complex. By the 1960s, Michelle Obama would eventually call this building her home, but only for a brief period of about 2 years when she was still a toddler. In the late 1980s and early 90s, gang activity really started inching its way into Parkway Gardens. Originally, it was members of the Gangster Disciples, but by 1991, another clique known as the Black Disciples began carving out their own piece of the pie. In 2000, those same Black Disciples would redub the area Wick City, short for Wild, Insane, Crazy City. That name would stick around for a few years before a popular and much-loved resident of the neighborhood known as Ketta died from heart failure. Considering how well-respected she was around the hood, the new name of Ketta World was christened in honor of her. Hell, even Chief Keef, who was only a teenager at the time, would pen a tribute song for Ketta titled Dead and Gone. But Ketta World wouldn't last for long. 2 years later, this part of Chicago would earn the name it goes by now when the 20-year-old gang member O.D. Perry was gunned down one warm summer night in 2011. His killer was a 17-year-old female assassin named Jakira Barnes, who herself was shot to death not far from here. From that point forward, this place was officially known as...
Have y'all heard about that, bro? When King Von was like flirting with her over messages? I'm hip to that.
O Block, in honor of O.D. But here's the crazy thing. O.D. was just one of...
bro, I mess with Von so much, bro. Like, he was supposed to be one of the ones, bro, that made it out for real.
19 people shot on O Block between the years of 2011 and 2014, enough to officially make this the most dangerous block in Chicago during that time. 2 of those victims would die, and yet none of those shootings ever resulted in criminal charges, nor would any weapons ever be recovered by police. In an effort to curb the violence, more and more police officers were assigned to patrol the area on foot and in cars, focusing on what they call an impact zone of 5 square blocks with O Block dead center. 10 veteran officers typically patrol this area 24/7 with additional units on standby. But are things actually getting better? Over the years of its existence, the building known as Parkway Gardens has become a hotbed of gangster activity. These days, the police say that the Black Disciples control both sides of King Drive and Parkway Gardens, while their rivals, the Gangster Disciples, claim the neighborhood of single-family homes to the east. These two gangs pour fuel to the fire of their feud with sharply worded social media posts and a ton of rap lyrics that are uploaded to YouTube. Often, this desire for violence carries over to real life. One cop told the Chicago Sun, "You can catch a shooting in the..."
I don't think it's ever gonna stop either. Ever. It's GDs and BDs everywhere, bro. Like, people dissing now. It's never gonna stop, bro.
The snow, or the sun. The GDs won't go in the McDonald's or the drive-thru because that's BD. It's all about territory. Meanwhile, the dismantling of a nearby high-rise also played a huge role in all of this. The complex, once known as Randolph Towers, which included 144 apartments, sprawled across 16 buildings in the 6200 block, as part of the Chicago Housing Authority's plan for transformation. Many of the gang members that once called Randolph Towers home then made the move about 3 blocks away to Parkway Gardens, a complex that is privately managed and caters to low-income tenants. Ever since, it's been a war between the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciples, with the everyday civilians who also call O Block home being caught in the middle. Even a self-made man and longtime O Block resident like Lil Durk has landed into violence that constantly unfolds around his home. For instance, in the track 52 Bars Part 4, he ruminates over the murder of his friend, Sherrard Liggins, a repute gang member who was killed in February of 2012 while walking out of a store on O Block. And yet, Lil Durk has also been extremely adamant about wanting to buy the infamous Parkway Gardens apartment complex should the opportunity ever present itself. Well, in 2021, he actually had something of a chance when the building was put up for sale. It's unclear if Lil Durk ever had the opportunity to put an offer in, but according to a post from Say Cheese, the 13-acre campus spread across nearly 3 dozen
has been sold and best believe it's going to be developed before it could be out of the price range. The most current will allow to do it. They were told in section in Bloomington. Who has the money to buy
buildings was purchased soon after it went up for sale. The new owner is currently unknown, but the belief of many is that Parkway Gardens will soon be redeveloped and placed completely out of the price.
Twisted tea is a refreshing hard iced tea made with real brewed tea. Keep it twisted.
I need ad blocker song, bro. Like,
price range of most of its current residents in a bid to distance the area from a string of nasty murders that have rocked the O Block over the past handful of years. The rapper known as Wooski grew up in O Block and affiliated himself with the Black Disciples.
it's just bad that I know these people from these songs, bro. Woosie Khan, now we need medicine out anyway.
But around the age of 12, he moved out and began hanging out with Gangster Disciples subsets known as
Wooski still twitching.
Lawrence and E Block territory. These 2 blocks sit right next to each other and are only about 1 block removed from Parkway Gardens. Now, in a totally new environment, Wooski linked up with Gangster Disciple rappers like FBG Duck, Lil J, and JoJo.
See, bro,
soon, he'd find himself embroiled
like,
in a pretty nasty feud with BD rapper King Von, with the 2 going back and forth at one another for years over Twitter. Eventually, in October of 2018, while attending the funeral of a friend, Wooski went out for a cigarette that he would never have the chance to light up. As soon as he stepped out of the church, he was met by a hail of gunfire and struck in the head. Miraculously, after being rushed into emergency surgery, Wooski's life was saved. But being shot in the head means that he now faces many daily struggles that he never had before. And Wooski was one of the lucky ones. For instance, his buddy FBG Duck was shot to death by 4 men in the middle of the day in August of 2020, while he was out shopping for his son's birthday present. Authorities would later claim that the murder was motivated by a gang turf war between the Black Disciples and Gangster Disciples. A year after his death, 5 members of the Black Disciples were arrested for his murder.
Why do people have to make the songs dissing people so catchy though, bro? Like, why can't it be like some cheese stuff? They be making these songs so catchy. We be saying them and don't be knowing like the names if these people are actually dead. Like, y'all realize that, bro? Like these niggas are actually getting killed. You know, and we saying smoking on the dun. Like, bro, come on, bro. But why do they have to make it sound so
after
good?
Police used social media and rap videos to crack the case. At the time of these arrests, the police were hopeful that it would send a message to other gang members. It didn't work. Less than 4 months later, King Von was fatally shot outside of a hookah bar in November of 2020. Sure, technically speaking, King Von was killed in the city of Atlanta, but you just know it was in response to the escalating war between the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciples in the O Block. Then within 7 months of Von's passing, Lil Durk would lose his older brother, D-Thing, when he was killed outside of a Chicago strip club in June of 2021. And we're still not done. 6 months later, in December of 2021, another Lil Durk associate known as A. Roy was shot and killed in O Block after getting into an altercation with a rival gang member. All of this death kind of begs the question, What exactly can be done to stop all of this? Because while police have tried to identify potential trouble and stop it before it starts, whether it's
It can't be stopped, bruh. It's not gonna get stopped, bruh. It's not gonna get stopped, bruh. It can't get stopped, bruh.
identifying gang members through what they call a gang audit, monitoring social media activity for threats, or warning others that they're either taking a risk or being closely monitored, it's clearly not enough to make a difference. Is there any hope that meaningful change will ever occur?
No.
Or are the people here stuck in what one resident would describe to the Chicago Sun as a death trap? For now, we're just gonna have to wait and see while hoping beyond hope that further innocent lives aren't lost along the way. But when you're dealing with the dark side of fame, anything is bound to happen. All right, guys, thank you everybody for checking this video out. But before you head out, please.
All right, man, that's gonna wrap up this reaction video. Let me know if y'all want to see more like this. Like, comment, and share my channel. Subscribe to my channel and get me out there, man. I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'm out.